Ladies and gentlemen, every single day, a silent battle is taking place inside your mind. No one else can see it. No one else can hear it. But it is there, shaping how you walk, how you speak, how you decide, and how you live. That battle is between who you are right now and who you could become if you stopped believing every negative thought that passes through your head. Negative thinking is not wisdom. It is not realism. It is not protection. It is a slow poison, and the longer you let it live, the more of your potential it kills. Negative thinking is not a truth you were born with. It is a habit you slowly learned. And anything that is learned can be unlearned if you are willing to confront it honestly. Most people live as if their thoughts are facts, as if every doubt that crosses their mind deserves belief and obedience. But thoughts are not commands. They are suggestions, and many of them are deeply flawed. The tragedy is that when you repeat a thought long enough, it begins to feel like reality, even when it has no evidence behind it. This is how negative thinking becomes dangerous. Not because it is powerful on its own, but because you give it power through repetition and acceptance. Think about how habits are formed. No one wakes up one day suddenly defeated, hopeless, or full of self-doubt. It happens gradually. A failure here, a criticism there, a comparison with someone else, a missed opportunity, and slowly the mind starts building a story. I always fail. I'm not cut out for this. Others are better than me. These sentences repeat until they become automatic. At that point, you no longer question them, you simply live under them. This is not fate. This is conditioning, and conditioning can be reversed. Negative thinking survives because it feels familiar. Even pain can become comfortable when it is known. The mind prefers certainty over growth, even if that certainty is miserable. When you think negatively, you already know the outcome: failure, disappointment, rejection. Strangely, that predictability feels safe. Hope, on the other hand, feels risky. Trying again feels dangerous. Believing in yourself feels uncomfortable because it opens the door to possible disappointment. So the mind clings to negativity, not because it is true, but because it feels safer than uncertainty. But here is the truth you must face. Negative thinking has never protected you. It has never saved you from pain. It has only limited how far you were willing to go. It convinces you to quit early so you don't have to face the fear of trying fully. It tells you to lower your expectations so you won't be hurt. But in doing so, it quietly steals your ambition. Over time, you don't just lose goals, you lose respect for yourself. That is the real cost. When you begin to understand that negative thinking is a habit, not a fact, something powerful happens. You stop treating your thoughts like orders and start treating them like noise that needs to be evaluated. A habit operates automatically, but only until you bring awareness to it. The moment you notice a negative thought and say, "This is a pattern, not a truth," you create distance. In that distance, you gain choice. And choice is where freedom begins. Breaking a mental habit is uncomfortable because it requires effort. Just like physical habits, mental habits resist change. Your mind will push back. It will tell you that you're being unrealistic, that you're lying to yourself, that things will never change. That resistance is not proof that negativity is correct. It is proof that the habit is being challenged. Growth always feels unnatural at first. If it felt easy, everyone would do it. You do not replace negative thinking by forcing positive fantasies. You replace it by disciplined thinking. Disciplined thinking means choosing thoughts that are useful, not just emotionally satisfying. Instead of "I can't do this," you choose "I can learn how to do this." Instead of "I always fail," you choose "I have failed before and I am still here." These thoughts are not lies. They are balanced, grounded, and forward-moving. They weaken the old habit by starving it of repetition. Repetition is the key. Just as negativity was built through repetition, strength is built the same way. Every time you interrupt a destructive thought and redirect your focus to action, you weaken the habit. Every time you show up despite doubt, you prove the thought wrong. Over time, the mind learns a new pattern: action instead of avoidance, responsibility instead of excuses, effort instead of surrender. You must also accept that killing negative thinking does not mean it disappears forever. Habits try to return, especially under stress, failure, or fatigue. The difference is that once you recognize negativity as a habit, you stop being surprised by it. You stop obeying it automatically. You expect it, and because you expect it, you are prepared to confront it. A disciplined mind does not wait for confidence to appear. Confidence is the result of repeated evidence that you can act despite uncertainty. Each small victory rewires the habit. Each day you choose effort over excuses, the voice of negativity grows weaker. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. The moment you truly accept that negative thinking is learned, and therefore removable, is the moment you stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as trainable. You are not flawed beyond repair. You are not doomed by your past thoughts. You are simply someone who practiced the wrong mental habits for too long. And practice, when redirected, can build a new identity. This is where responsibility becomes empowering, not oppressive. If negative thinking were the truth, you would be helpless. But because it is a habit, you have power. Power to notice, power to challenge, power to replace, and power to act even when your mind resists. That power is available to you right now, in this very moment. The next time a negative thought tells you to stop, to hide, or to quit, and you choose deliberately to move forward anyway, everything you are today is in some way shaped by the thoughts you repeatedly allow to live in your mind. Your actions do not begin in your hands or your feet, they begin in your head. Before you ever take a step forward, before you ever quit, before you ever speak or stay silent, a thought has already given the command. This is why negative thinking is so dangerous. It doesn't just make you feel bad, it quietly programs the direction of your life. When your thinking is weak, your decisions follow. When your thinking is disciplined, your future changes. Most people underestimate how powerful their internal dialogue is. They believe that thoughts are harmless, that it's just in my head. But your mind does not know the difference between what you imagine and what you experience repeatedly. If you tell yourself every day that you are behind, that you are failing, that others are better, your body responds as if that were an objective reality. Your posture changes, your energy drops, your risk tolerance disappears. Without realizing it, you begin acting in alignment with the story you tell yourself. This is how negative thinking becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The mind is always looking for evidence to support what it already believes. If you believe you are incapable, your mind will filter the world to prove you right. It will ignore your progress and magnify your mistakes. It will compare you to those ahead of you and dismiss those behind you. This selective attention strengthens the belief and weakens your confidence. Over time, you don't just think negatively, you live negatively. Your potential shrinks to match your self-image. But here is the critical truth. Thoughts are not neutral. They are either building you or breaking you. There is no middle ground. Every repeated thought is shaping your emotional state, and every emotional state is influencing your behavior. If you want to change your results, you cannot start only with your actions. You must start with the thinking that produces those actions. This is not motivation, this is cause and effect. Becoming aware of this is uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It means you can no longer blame circumstances alone. Yes, life is unfair. Yes, you may have started behind. Yes, you may have failed more than others. But the story you tell yourself about those facts will determine whether they crush you or forge you. Two people can experience the same hardship. One becomes bitter, the other becomes resilient. The difference is not intelligence or luck. It is interpretation. Negative thinking often disguises itself as honesty. It tells you that you are just being realistic, that you are protecting yourself from disappointment. But realism without courage becomes cowardice. Caution without purpose becomes stagnation. The mind convinces you that lowering your expectations is maturity, when in reality it is often fear pretending to be wisdom. You don't avoid pain by thinking negatively, you simply trade the pain of failure for the pain of regret. If your thoughts shape your destiny, then discipline of thought becomes a moral responsibility. You owe it to yourself to think in ways that expand your capacity, not shrink it. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending obstacles don't exist. It means choosing interpretations that give you strength instead of excuses. It means asking, what is the most responsible way to think about this situation? Rather than, what thought allows me to quit without guilt? Every time you choose a constructive thought over a destructive one, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. No single thought will change your life, just as no single workout makes you fit. But repeated daily, your thinking builds momentum. That momentum becomes identity. Eventually, you stop forcing better thoughts. They become your default. Understand that the brain is adaptable. Neuroscience shows us that repeated thinking patterns create strong neural pathways. The more you think a thought, the easier it becomes to think it again. This is why negative thinking feels automatic. It has been practiced. But the same principle works in your favor. When you deliberately practice disciplined thinking, you literally rewire your brain. What once felt forced becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes familiar. This is why action is inseparable from thought. When you act against negative thinking, you weaken it. When you avoid action because of negative thinking, you strengthen it. Action provides evidence, and evidence reshapes belief. You don't wait to feel confident to move forward. You move forward and allow confidence to catch up. Each step taken despite doubt sends a message to your mind: I am not controlled by fear. Your destiny is not written by your past, your environment, or your emotions in a single moment. It is written by the thoughts you choose to repeat when no one is watching. In those quiet moments, you are either reinforcing limitation or building possibility. You are either shrinking your future or expanding it. When you truly grasp that your thoughts shape your destiny, you stop treating your mind casually. You become selective. You become intentional. You stop allowing every negative idea to rent space in your head for free. You challenge it. You test it. You replace it with something stronger, and slowly, without noise or drama, your life begins to move in a new direction, because you change the source from which all direction begins. Awareness is the first step in killing destructive inner dialogue. Many people wander through life unaware of the thoughts that silently dictate their behaviors, choices, and emotional states. You might think you are reacting to events, to people, or to circumstances, but in reality, your mind filters every experience before it reaches your consciousness. That filter is built on the thoughts you allow to dominate your mental space. Negative thoughts act like a lens, coloring everything in shades of doubt, fear, and limitation. The challenge is that these thoughts often feel automatic. They show up uninvited, convincing you that they are the truth, when in fact they are habits, old recordings running in your brain over and over. If you never stop to notice them, you never have a chance to change them. Awareness is not about judging yourself. It is about observing yourself. It is about noticing patterns in your thinking and recognizing which ones serve you and which ones sabotage you. Until you are aware, negative thinking will continue to control you invisibly. Most people underestimate the power of awareness because they assume it is passive. They think that simply noticing a thought doesn't matter, that change comes from motivation or circumstance. But awareness is active. It is the spark that creates space between you and the thought. That space is where choice exists. When you notice a negative thought for what it is, a thought and not a fact, you gain control. You can either indulge it, allowing it to grow, or you can confront it and dismantle it. The very act of noticing interrupts the automatic loop. You are no longer a passenger in your own mind. You are a driver capable of steering away from destructive patterns. Awareness is the first weapon in your arsenal against negativity, and it must be cultivated daily. Being aware also forces honesty. When you stop and watch your thoughts, you may realize how often your mind lies to you. You may notice that the truths you've been carrying are exaggerations, distortions, or old fears that no longer apply. The thought "I can't succeed" may have been true once in a moment of failure, but it is not universally true. Awareness lets you distinguish between a passing fear and a statement of fact. The world will never stop sending challenges, failure will never fully disappear. But by observing your internal dialogue, you can see which thoughts are helpful warnings and which are unnecessary chains. This honesty is uncomfortable at first, because the mind resists exposure. But discomfort is necessary for growth. Awareness also allows you to predict and prepare for negative thinking. Once you begin to notice patterns, you start recognizing triggers. Maybe certain situations, certain people, or certain emotions consistently produce thoughts of self-doubt. Awareness brings these patterns to light. Instead of being blindsided by negativity, you anticipate it. You see the thought coming and you are ready to respond. When fear or doubt appears, you can pause and ask, is this true? Is this useful? Does this help me move forward? Without awareness, your mind reacts instinctively, automatically reinforcing limitation. With awareness, you become deliberate. You start taking control instead of being controlled. Awareness is not passive reflection. It is active engagement with your mind. Meditation, journaling, or simply quiet observation can develop this skill. The goal is not to eliminate thoughts as they appear, that is impossible, but to prevent them from dictating your actions. You might notice a negative thought and allow it to exist without judgment, then deliberately redirect your focus towards something constructive. Awareness gives you the ability to choose action in alignment with your goals, instead of reaction in alignment with fear. This is how habits are broken. Awareness is the moment when a thought ceases to be automatic and becomes optional. Another critical aspect of awareness is recognizing the emotional weight of thoughts. Thoughts are not just mental, they are emotional. A negative thought triggers fear, doubt, and anxiety, which influence your body and behavior. Awareness allows you to separate the content of the thought from your reaction to it. You can feel the anxiety without letting it dictate your next move. You can notice the fear without allowing it to stop your action. This separation between thought and reaction is powerful because it gives you control. Most people believe that their emotions are facts, but in reality, they are signals that can be managed once you are aware of them. Finally, awareness is the foundation for every other step in overcoming negative thinking. You cannot take control, discipline your mind, or build resilience without first noticing the thoughts that need control. Awareness transforms the invisible enemy into something you can confront. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns habit into choice. The more consistently you practice awareness, the faster you can identify and eliminate destructive thoughts. Because you are no longer at the mercy of an unobserved mind, you begin to see clearly how much power you have over your own mental state. When awareness becomes a habit, you no longer merely endure life, you navigate it intentionally, choosing thoughts that strengthen, not weaken, your path forward. Awareness is not a one-time skill, it is a lifelong discipline. You will always encounter negativity, and the mind will always offer doubts and fears, but awareness ensures that you are no longer a victim. It creates the distance, the clarity, and the freedom necessary to choose how you respond. Each moment of noticing, each act of observing without being controlled, is a victory against negative thinking. When you cultivate awareness, you light the path toward mental mastery, and every step on that path brings you closer to the life you were capable of creating from the very beginning. Discipline of the mind is more powerful than motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It is a spark that ignites action temporarily, but it can sustain long-term growth. It comes and goes depending on your emotions, circumstances, and energy levels. Many people wait for motivation to arrive before taking action, thinking that once they feel inspired, success will follow. But motivation alone is unreliable. It cannot carry you through challenges, setbacks, or boredom. What determines your trajectory in life is not the sporadic rush of inspiration, but the daily practice of mental discipline. The deliberate choice to act even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is the engine, and motivation is merely the fuel. Without the engine, fuel accomplishes nothing. Discipline of the mind begins with awareness of your thoughts, but it goes further. It requires taking responsibility for what you allow to remain in your mental space. You have the power to choose which thoughts to entertain and which to reject. You have the power to direct your attention toward solutions instead of problems, toward growth instead of excuses. It is not easy because your brain is wired to resist discomfort and to conserve energy. Negative thoughts feel familiar, and resisting them requires effort. Discipline is choosing effort consistently day after day, even when it is uncomfortable. It is choosing to act according to your values rather than your emotions. When you discipline your mind, you stop being reactive. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. Without mental discipline, each obstacle triggers panic, doubt, or avoidance. But discipline allows you to respond strategically instead of emotionally. When negative thoughts arise, a disciplined mind does not automatically accept them as truth. It questions them, it tests them, it redirects them toward action that strengthens rather than weakens. This is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who remain stuck in cycles of self-doubt. The disciplined mind becomes resilient because it does not rely on fleeting feelings of motivation, it relies on structure, habit, and deliberate choice. Mental discipline also involves building routines that reinforce positive thinking and reduce space for negativity. When your day is structured around constructive habits, your mind has less opportunity to wander into destructive patterns. This might mean setting aside time for reflection, exercise, learning, or planning. It might mean limiting exposure to negative influences that feed doubt and fear. Discipline is not only resisting negative thoughts internally but also shaping your environment externally to support mental strength. A disciplined environment reduces friction, making it easier for your mind to focus on growth rather than limitation. Another critical element of mental discipline is emotional regulation. Thoughts and emotions are intertwined, and without control over your emotions, negative thinking gains power. Discipline teaches you to acknowledge feelings without being controlled by them. Fear, frustration, or self-doubt may arise, but a disciplined mind does not surrender to them. Instead, it observes the emotion, evaluates its validity, and acts despite it. You learn to respond to life rather than react. This ability to act in alignment with your goals, even when feelings push in the opposite direction, is the essence of strength. Motivation cannot teach you this, only consistent discipline can. Discipline of the mind also requires consistency over time. Growth does not occur in a single moment of willpower. It occurs in the repeated choices to think clearly, act responsibly, and ignore destructive impulses. Each decision to redirect a negative thought, each time you act despite fear, each moment you resist comfort in favor of effort, strengthens neural pathways that support resilience and clarity. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger through use. Neglect allows old patterns of negative thinking to resurface. Discipline maintains the new patterns, ensuring they become automatic over time. An important aspect of mental discipline is the ability to delay gratification. Negative thinking often tempts you to seek immediate relief through excuses, avoidance, or self-pity. Discipline teaches you to resist that temptation. You learn that short-term comfort is not worth sacrificing long-term growth. When you consistently choose delayed gratification, you train your mind to focus on meaningful outcomes rather than momentary ease. This builds confidence, courage, and control over your internal state, making it increasingly difficult for negative thoughts to dominate. Discipline also strengthens your ability to take responsibility for your life. Negative thinking often thrives on blaming circumstances, other people, or past failures. A disciplined mind refuses to surrender power to external conditions. It recognizes that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control your response. You can control your thinking, your actions, and your commitment to improvement. This shift from blame to responsibility is transformative. It turns helplessness into empowerment and fear into proactive energy. Finally, mental discipline creates freedom. It may seem counterintuitive, but controlling your mind does not limit you, it expands you. When you are no longer enslaved by negative thoughts, when you act with consistency and clarity, life becomes navigable. You are no longer reactive to every fear, doubt, or opinion that crosses your path. You can choose your focus, your effort, and your direction. Motivation may inspire, but discipline sustains. Motivation lights the fire, discipline keeps it burning through storms, setbacks, and fatigue. A disciplined mind becomes unstoppable because it does not wait for ideal conditions to act. It acts in all conditions. Discipline of the mind is not a destination but a daily practice. It is built moment by moment, thought by thought, decision by decision. Each time you interrupt a negative pattern and choose a constructive one, you reinforce the habit of strength. Each time you act despite fear, you signal to your brain that you are in control. Over time, this consistent effort transforms not only your thoughts but also your identity. You become someone who naturally thinks clearly, acts decisively, and refuses to be limited by negativity. This is the power of mental discipline. It turns potential into reality, challenges into opportunities, and fleeting motivation into lasting achievement.